Mina, omatase. Sorry for the delay. So at the time of recording this, it's been about 1 month or so since my Japanese roadmap video. So I'm just wondering, how's your guys' studying going? If you're watching this from the future, then yeah, hello, and how's your studying going? I'm still working on my language exchange video, but in the meantime, I thought I'd catch up with you guys and talk about learning kanji. If you're past the pre-beginner stage and you can read at least hiragana, katakana, then you're in the right place. If not, then check out my previous video and come back. Anyhow, I'm going to be going over the method that I used to learn kanji, which was this book, Remembering the Kanji. And I'm also going to briefly talk about WaniKani. 日本人の視聴者さんにもこれ面白いかな? Now, for a lot of people, myself included, I used to look at something like this and just lose all hope. But once you start being able to recognize a kanji, you're going to feel like a giga brain. It's going to take some time, honestly, but it's not as hard as it looks. And if you really, really want to learn Japanese for real, you want to be able to interact with Japanese people, be able to read things in the environment or books or whatever, you're going to have to learn kanji anyways, so might as well just start, right? First, let's talk about Remembering the Kanji, or RTK for short. It's this book. I mentioned it briefly in my last video. I thought it was outdated because I used it quite a long time ago actually, but apparently a lot of people still use it, so yeah, why not talk about it? You can buy the physical book, or of course, you can just get it somehow digitally online. What this book will teach you is literally how to remember the kanji, about 2,000 or so of them. Well, these are also known as the Joyo kanji. That literally translates to commonly used kanji, but it's not a comprehensive list and even includes stuff that you'll barely use. For example, on the last page. Oh, I guess you'll use that this year. Anyhow, the point of Joyo kanji is that this is basically the baseline of what Japanese people learn in school. So why not go for that? If you can recognize these, then you have a good basis of understanding. And anyways, trust me, there's more. Much, much more. How this book teaches you kanji basically is using mnemonics or stories. Let's take a look at an example. Kanji are usually broken up into parts called radicals. By assigning images, meanings, or characters to radicals, we can basically make a story for each kanji as we see them. A really easy example would be like this. Hon, or book. The kanji for tree is there, and there's a line going through the bottom. What if you imagine that the line down there means that you're cutting a tree down, sorry tree, to make a book? Easy, right? Here's a more difficult one. This kanji is I, or love. By the time you're learning this kanji, you would have recognized the top part here as birdhouse, made up of claw, and the roof of a house. Then you have a heart in the middle here, made up of a hook and 3 drops of blood. The bottom portion of it will be walking legs. So you have a birdhouse, heart, and walking legs. So you can make up a story like, when you truly love someone, don't put them in a birdhouse. Let their heart walk around freely. Or something like that. The first part of the book introduces you to these elements and gives you detailed stories for each kanji. Later on, it'll give you less stories and just elements, but no worries, we have the internet. Kanji Koohi is a free website that you can use alongside RTK to study. It has 2 killer features. Basically, you can look up any kanji from RTK or outside of RTK and see stories that other people have submitted. So, no need to come up with your own stories if you can't or don't want to. It also has an SRS system like Anki built in. So, you can keep track of your studying progress, then practice and quiz yourself on your kanji. Just to note, the version of RTK that I used is the 5th edition, but apparently the 6th edition is out and it's a little bit different. So just make sure you know which one you're using, because on the Koohi website, you can choose which one you're studying from. Okay, so that's a little introduction to remembering the kanji. It's pretty cool, right? So when I started studying Japanese, after, again, learning hiragana, katakana, I dived into this and I did it for about 3 months or so. Yeah, 2,000 kanji or so, just 3 months, literally only doing this. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's not impossible, but notice that I said remember the kanji, right? So as great as this method is, it only teaches you how to write and recognize kanji and gives you an English keyword, but it doesn't tell you how to pronounce things. So kanji have two ways to pronounce them basically, onyomi and kunyomi. In very basic terms, onyomi are readings derived from the Chinese pronunciations, and kunyomi are the original indigenous Japanese readings. Are you still with me here? Let's take the earlier kanji I mentioned, hon and ai. If we see here, hon and ai are the onyomi readings, but they also have other pronunciations, such as moto or itoshi. Oh my god, is every kanji like this? Yes, pretty much. But please, don't worry yet. Why can we recognize around 2,000 kanji in 3 months or so? Meanwhile, Japanese people spend their whole childhoods learning these things. It's because we're using mnemonics, but we're also not learning the pronunciations just yet. That will come later, I promise. For now, we're just laying the foundations to build on top of it. I will tell you now, I never actually studied onyomi or kunyomi individually for kanji, but I can still read them, I can still pronounce them. When you start seeing the same kanji everywhere, you start to see patterns, you start to, recognize that, hey, this kanji can be jin, or it can be nin, or it can be bito, or hito. You just see it a bunch of times and you just kind of remember it. So don't worry about that yet. Right now, if all you know is hiragana, katakana, you don't know anything yet, then, these squiggles don't make sense at all for you. So just get familiar with them first, and then we can start learning more stuff on top of that. Stick with me here. Okay, so now I'm gonna talk about WaniKani a little bit. I'll give you a live demo of it. As I mentioned in that video, I never actually used it because it didn't exist when I started studying Japanese. So I wanted to go through a demo of it where I try it myself, and I'll give you my impressions of it. Okay, so this is WaniKani. Let's jump in. Okay, sign up. Praise to the Crabbigator, Rudo Kanji, your coming has been foretold. Working your way up to 2,080 kanji and 6,607 vocabulary will happen overnight though. Steps complete the first 25 radicals in your lessons pile. Use the mnemonics, try finishing them all in one go. Hey, that's basically what I'm talking about in this video. The most difficult one. Ground. What do I do? Click next. Okay. 1, 3, above. Okay, barb. These look like fins. Drop. So far, so good. Okay, so it's quizzing me right off the bat here. Radical name. Like ground. Radical name. Fins, I guess. Right. And this is a barb. Drop. Slide. 2, lid, big, enter, person, power, prison, mouth, 7, woman. By the way, I'm kind of blowing through these because I know the kanji already, but don't worry if it takes you a couple of tries. 9, sun, gun, stick, toe. You finished everything in your lessons pile. I just have to wait for reviews. Come back in 84 minutes. Okay. All right, let's just browse around a little bit and see what I can figure out here. Toe plus ground. Okay. Hints. Yeah. And it has onyomi, the readings. Onyomi, kunyomi, mnemonic, fun, and other kanji. Okay, so that was just a brief demo of WaniKani. Unfortunately, I couldn't get that much done in just one sitting, in one day. Maybe I'll revisit it another time. But basically, it just seems to be very, very similar to remembering the kanji itself. It has stories, it has mnemonics. Yeah, it just seems to be a bit more structured, and it seems to have vocabulary as well mixed in, and some onyomi and kunyomi. So yeah, a little bit maybe more balanced instead of just recognizing the kanji. But I think I've read that people do WaniKani for maybe a year or two. I'm not quite sure. Because again, I haven't done it myself, the whole thing. But let me know what you think of WaniKani as well. So I'm going to be a little bit more biased towards remembering the kanji because that's the method that I used personally. Yeah, WaniKani seems great. Just choose whichever one works for you. I think one difference as well is that there is more of a cost for WaniKani compared to RTK because WaniKani is a subscription-based service. So at the time of this recording, I see it's $9 US per month, 89 USD per year, or 300 USD for a one-time lifetime charge. So yeah, if you are a little bit more budget conscious, then maybe just getting this book used or somewhere online and then using the Koohi website for free. Yeah, that could also work out for you. Anyways, guys, I hope I didn't scare you with this video. Honestly, learning kanji is one of the most difficult and daunting parts of Japanese. I'm sure you know. I honestly wanted to quit halfway through this book at one point because it's like, when am I going to learn Japanese? I'm just learning a bunch of squiggles. But honestly, it was super worth it. I'm glad I stuck with it. Because once you're over this kind of initial bump of learning Japanese, everything just starts making sense. Everything's a bit smoother. Yeah, it's just completely worth doing if you really truly want to learn Japanese. For what it's worth too, Japanese people even forget kanji sometimes, according to my friends anyways. So yeah, that's pretty much what I want to say in this video. Thanks again for watching. I do have the next video, the language change video, coming up soon. Hopefully I can release it very soon and be a little bit more consistent when I upload. Really appreciate your guys' support and viewership. 本当に皆さんありがとうございました。また会いましょうね。Let's see each other again soon. Okay, take care. Bye. また。